"You too!" roared Connor. For Nessa, the shouts and applause were deafening. As Niall sneered, the barkeep gave her some unnecessary help onto the countertop. She stood on the other side of her proud father, who downed the rest of his Guinness, put the glass on the countertop, and wrapped his arms around his children. Nessa was the same height as her Terminator of a brother, but the similarity ended there. Apart from his pug nose and moustache, Niall's dark, round face was the spitting image of their late mother, Chiara's, with the same brown eyes and pointy ears, and a cleft chin that on her was charming, but which he was notorious for jabbing at people with. "Go on, hit me, you shite, and see what happens to you." Niall had his father's brawn, but lacked his parents' and his sister's brains. He was a ticking time bomb with an explosive temper. No matter how much money Connor threw at anger management and every other kind of counselling. Nessa was a taller, more willowy version of her stocky father, with fair skin and penetrating blue eyes. Her disarming heart-shaped face, capped with a mop of black hair so wild it made her seem easygoing, meant that most people severely underestimated her the first time they met. Only Connor could read Nessa. It infuriated Niall that his father was more like his twin than he was, not only in looks, but in temperament and intellect. He fumed when they finished each other's sentences or supported each other's ideas, but rarely his. Unlike Niall, who would blurt the first thought that popped into his head, Nessa took her time answering questions, often causing him to slam a fist on the table or stamp his foot and charge out of a room. But Nessa could be as volatile as her brother when it suited her. It made for torrid family gatherings, as well as board meetings, since the three, after Chiara's death, were CCNN's only directors. Connor could sense the tension mounting in Niall, so he pulled him closer, in a warning to behave, and pushed on with a shout. "If you're enough lucky to be Irish, you're lucky enough!" The crowd erupted in roars of "Dead on and too right!" Then Connor called out, "Whoever thought the Farrellys would come this far?" Applause, shouts, and stomping filled the pub. Connor had come a long way indeed, but most of those present knew only a small part of it, the legal part. Until the Good Friday Agreement in 1998 ended the Northern Ireland conflict, Connor was the Provisional Irish Republican Army's secret head of transport, effectively in charge of its arms smuggling operations. Fundraising was also part of his job, although he wasn't collecting checks at parties in Tony, New York City brownstones or Chicago townhouses. Connor was an ambitious, small-time, down and dirty gombeen who branched out into running drugs in London. That line of business, a surefire money spinner, came with a handy sweetener: the corruption of British youth. Only a few of those present were aware of the fraught circumstances of the twins' birth in Lisburn, a little southwest of Belfast. How Chiara's waters broke while she was driving getaway in a stolen Ford Escort van just after Connor shot a British soldier in the face. She pulled over into a bombed factory and hopped into the back of the van, where Connor pushed aside the guns, Molotov cocktails, and cans of petrol and delivered their babies himself. Scuttlebutt had raged for years that CCNN was involved in more than was publicly disclosed. Nothing was ever proved, and it wasn't likely to be. Every time an allegation was printed in a media outlet, Connor would instantly swing out with a fierce right-hook libel suit that sent the proprietor and the offending journalist reeling. If it didn't, some of his boys would pay a visit. As time wore on, the story stopped. No one inclined to follow any leads was left standing. For good measure, Connor also maintained a close and cordial relationship with the local constabulary. Bygones, it seemed, were easily bought. "Friends," said Connor, holding up his glass again. "A smart man goes before he loses it."